It's October, Shane.
Yes, it is. That's why we're here.
Yeah. Orc faction deep dive.
Yeah. I was not expecting that intro. It just happened. We're talking about orcs.
Yeah.
Orcs are like my first. They're like my first true love when it comes to Kill Team.
Mm-hmm.
This is how I got into the game and 40K in general.
Yeah.
Not that I really am like a big 40K player, but like when I discovered like the whole 40K like universe with like the old Dawn of War games, I would gravitate towards orcs, and that was the only thing I knew how to play like to a decent level in those. Like, because I'm bad at RTS games, and with orcs in that game, you would buy a bunch of orc boys, and then you'd either win in the first 3 minutes or you'd get stomped. At least that was how I played it.
Yeah. Well, at least if you do get stomped, it's over so fast that you just
on to the next one.
It's just on to the next one real fast. Yeah.
Learn nothing, just keep going. It's like it's really
what. Yeah, that is the way to play orcs. Yeah.
Just crump another day, right? But yeah, orcs are fun, and a lot of people play orcs, and they are just such a unique, like, wonderful piece of Warhammer 40K.
Yeah,
and they're fun in Kill Team too, which is important because this is a Kill Team podcast.
This is a Kill Team podcast. Yeah,
I mean, to me, orcs are like they're one of the most diverse factions in terms of just all the different ways you can play them in Kill Team. It's not like other factions where there's like one or two ways to make them competitive, and that's really it.
Yeah.
Orcs, there's a lot of different, like, it's almost Space Marine level where like certain orc builds feel like different factions almost.
We're just going to go through the clan cultures right now. And first up, we have guns for hire. So flash kits can be included in an orc kill team without preventing other models in that kill team from gaining a clan culture. Note, however, that flash kits can never themselves benefit from any clan culture unless every model in that kill team, other than Gretchen, see Grots below, is drawn from the freebooters. So flash kits, they just don't benefit from any subfaction unless they're freebooters.
And it's cool that you can take them in a list without like taking away the subfaction for other models, which is important because flash kits are incredible in Kill Team.
They are. So same thing basically applies for Grots, or Gretchen cannot be drawn from a clan, but can be included. And they never benefit from a clan culture, which is also good because you need those guys to go with the flash kits to make that engine kind of run at peak efficiency. And there's also a tactic that I'm a really big fan of that we'll get into later involving Gretchen. Do you want to start with the Goths?
The Goths, yeah. So honestly, Goths, this is a subfaction that I kind of forgot about. When Elites came out, I thought Goths looked kind of good, and I've probably run them like once in the past year, but I'll just read it. So, no mucking about. Each time you make an unmodified hit roll of 6 with an attack, or for an attack with a melee weapon made by a model in your kill team, immediately make an additional hit roll against the same target using the same weapon. These additional hit rolls cannot themselves generate any further hit rolls. So, I mean, it's okay. It's like basically you get Death to the False Emperor against everyone as a subfaction.
Yeah.
And orcs put a lot of hits through. They are a crumpy melee faction.
They do like to crump. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay. I mean, really the problem is orcs have so many good subfactions that it's hard to look at Goths too seriously.
Yeah. I could see the potential for it to stack with a tactic that we're going to talk about in a few minutes here, but what's it called? It's like, I don't know. It's the one where it's like you add one attack per model that your orc model is in close combat with. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the itching for a fight.
Yeah, pairing that with this. It's crazy. It's fun to think about. I don't think it's the most efficient, but yeah, literally buckets of dice in Kill Team.
You want to do Bad Moons?
Yeah. So Bad Moons, armed to the teeth. Reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made by models in your kill team in the shooting phase.
I mean, this is like a sub-faction for other teams that we'll look at and be like, oh, this is really good. But for Orcs, it's the only reason that this isn't good is because there is another shooting sub-faction that's way better.
Yeah.
Like over the top good. And Bad Moons just doesn't compare.
Right.
Like you could probably run Bad Moons in like a committed shooty orc list and do okay with it. But there's no reason. It's kind of like Goths where it's solid, but there's no reason to run it. Like, there's just better options, I think. And I'll do Evil Sons. So this is a pretty important one.
Yeah.
Red ones go faster. I think everybody knows what this one is, but I'll read it anyway. And actually, this is an important one to read because people mess up somehow.
All the time.
People mess this up a lot.
Yeah.
So add 1 to the move characteristic of models in your kill team, and add 1 to advance and charge rolls made for them. In addition, these models do not suffer the penalty to their hit rolls for shooting assault weapons during a battle round in which they advance. So basically, your orc boys get 6-inch movement instead of 5-inch movement. And when they advance, you add another one onto that movement. So all your models have, it's like the WOG tactic that we'll get into later, except it's just it's like a sub faction.
Yeah.
So basically one of the downsides to orcs that a lot of people talk about is their mobility. They're kind of slow when they're not charging. And Evil Sons, it literally turns them to a fast army. It's not even like it balances that out, like by making them like normal speed and making up for weakness. Like, no, they go from slow to like being very fast. And in addition to that, +1 to charges is very good for a faction that's already re-rolling charges natively. This has been like the meta go-to sub-faction for orcs for a long time. For pretty good reason. I mean, especially in a pure hold, like positional format, I think this is the way to go. It's very good.
So next up we have Death Skulls. Lucky Blue Gets.
Very good. Very, very good performance.
Thank you. Models in your kill team have a 6-up invuln save unless they already have an invuln save. In addition, you can reroll a single failed hit roll and a single failed wound roll in each phase as long as the attack was made by a model in your kill team. So
this is my favorite one.
Yeah, this is a great faction. Built-in 6-up invuln save. Competitive players know how valuable an inbuilt 6-up invuln is, or I guess I should say like a feel no pain. So this isn't as good as a 6-up feel no pain, but it's something. It does make them a lot more,
a little bit survivable,
a little bit more survivable.
But those rerolls though,
the rerolls is where it really shines. So they basically just get salamander rerolls, right?
Yeah, this subfaction, it's salamanders, but you get a 6-up invuln, which is nice for orcs who don't have the greatest armor saves. I'm a big fan of running Death Skulls with like a more of a elite style orc team, which we'll talk more about later. But just being able to pick and choose when to use those rerolls and when you're actually going to need them, it's really nice. Death Skulls is fantastic. You just get a lot of like return on investment, I feel. And then Snake Bites, another one that I really like. I might be one of the only people that's ever like been excited about
seriously considered them.
I mean, I actually ran this in a tournament. Snake Bites, the old ways. Sheesh. Okay. Roll a dice each time a model in your kill team loses a wound. On a 6, the wound is not lost. If a model already has a similar ability, choose which effect applies and reroll ones when making these rolls. So it's a 6-up feel no pain. It's like an Ulthway, but for orcs. So this sounds kind of underwhelming, right?
Right.
But I think it's a lot better than it sounds, especially, and this is one where I said I like Death Skulls in like a more like elite style team. I think Snake Bites is like made for the elite style team. Like having all these like the elite knobs from the elites book, having all these 2 wound models on the board with 4-up armor saves and 6-up feel no pains at toughness 4. That's pretty scary. I mean, the whole thing that people love about Ulthwé Asuryani so much is that Austriani can take all these 2-wound models, and it adds to the durability. I mean, every time you want to kill like one of those, like one of these knobs, not only do you need to wound them and they're T4, so that's inherently pretty good in this game, but they need to fail their armor save if they get one, which the elite knobs have like a 4-up armor save.
Yeah.
And you need to burn through both wounds with the feel no pain on each wound.
Yeah.
So it's like there's a lot of chances for the knob to survive when he should otherwise die when you give him snake bites. I think if you're running snake bites with like a bunch of boys, I don't think you're going to get as much out of it. But I think for the knobs, I think there really is something there, just in pure durability.
Right. Blood axes. Tactics. Models in your kill team are considered to be obscured to enemy models that target them if they are more than 18 inches away from those models. In addition, models in your kill team can shoot even if they fell back in the same battle round.
So this is if I had to pick a worst one, it's probably this.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is maybe some.
It's like it's like a worse Ravens Guard sub-faction ability for Space Marines. And then it's like oddly enough, a better Ultramarine sub-faction tactic for Space Marines.
I mean, it's not terrible, but you're not going to be 18 inches away from your opponent too often. We've said this before. That part is useless, in my opinion. Mostly useless.
Yeah.
But the falling back and shooting is pretty nice, especially with like Scorches or something.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a flash kit can't take this, so that's kind of a bummer. But I mean, Scorches, and I'm not going to say Burnas, but I mean, if you're ever going to run a Burna, that would be a pretty good.
That would be the sub-faction.
Anyway, last but not least, freebooters, competitive streak. I feel like they should have. That doesn't sound very orky to me. Just as
no.
Anyway,
it's like everybody is like an orc, and then these guys are like Michael Jordan. Like, what do you mean competitive streak?
Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by models in your kill team for each other model in your kill team that has taken an enemy model out of action with an attack this phase. So this is the shooty sub-faction we were talking about. Granted, it has its benefits in the fight phase too. Like, it's not just shooting. But really, it's the idea is you get kills with your shooty models, specifically flash kits or maybe like a Scorcha, and then every other model with their 6-up ballistic skill, it becomes a 5, or with their 5-up ballistic skill, it becomes a 4, and you kill with another guy, and suddenly everybody's hitting on 3s, and then your next big shooter shoots and he kills somebody too, and then you have like a bunch of boys with shooters hitting on 2s, and it gets pretty crazy. I mean, this is the snowball sub-faction. You can win a game in like 1 turn.
Hypothetically.
Yeah. Or you can lose 1 crucial model turn 1, and it's like, well, guess it's over.
On to the next one. Just like your Dawn of War games.
But yeah, I mean, so it's hard to like pick a best one because there's a lot of good here.
Yeah.
I mean, freebooters almost feels like a different faction.
Yeah.
It plays so different to like normal orcs.
Yeah. It doesn't even have the same accent. So
yeah, really. Are they even orcs?
And
I mean, in the same way, I think like Snake Bites and Death Skulls play very different to Evil Sons.
Yeah.
Evil Sons are like, that's the horde one.
For sure.
If you're running like a boy horde, Evil Sons is the way to go. But if you're running more elite team, I would look at Death Skulls or Snake Bites maybe.
Yeah. So just like in general, would you say on an open board with a primarily like hold for primary scoring format, Evil Sons is the way to go?
Yeah, I would say Evil Sons, or depending on how open it is, freebooters can also be an option.
Okay, yeah.
Just because, I mean, an open board, flash kits could do some serious work.
Right. And then for like a close confines, either arena or kill based, or more kill focused primary objectives, Death Skulls would probably be more of the way to go.
Yeah, I would say either you're either running Death Skulls or maybe Snake Bites. I mean, in a more kill-based format, what you're going to see is people bringing factions that are less, glass cannony and a little bit more durable.
Right.
And I mean, we see it with TAO. There's no Necrons at all. Nobody wanted to play Necrons on this packet and on this board. The same way, there was not a lot of Tyrannid hordes or like demons in BAO.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're on a killy format, I think it's good to have a little more durability and to match that with some killing power of your own. And I think that's where, you're going to get a lot more benefit from Snake Bites and Death Skulls, in my opinion.
Cool.
But you can still do Evil Suns just about anywhere. I just think there's situations where it's not quite as optimal.
Yeah.
So Orcs have a lot of tactics.
They do have a lot of tactics.
They got a lot of cool ones. I'm pretty familiar. I've been running these tactics for feels like forever now.
Yeah.
I guess I'm going to start with the first one here while you get situated on your PDF there. So the first one is Crumpum. So already off to a great start.
Yeah,
Loving these names.
The Orcs, I think, are like in general are spoiled when it comes to faction specific tactics. They have a lot of great or good like tactics for just 1 or 2 CP.
Oh, for sure. Crumpum, this is a solid one. This is 1 CP. Use this tactic when you choose a model in your kill team to fight in the fight phase. Increase the strength characteristic of that model by 1 until the end of the phase. So this is okay. I mean, it's only 1 CP. I honestly don't see myself using it that often, but I think there are scenarios where you can.
Yeah.
Like
the first thing that I thought of when I saw this was I can take a boy and make him strength 5.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the go-to,
that's
right? That's the immediate thought.
Yeah.
That can be pretty nice. An underrated one is you can take like a knob with a big Choppa and you can make him strength 8.
Ooh.
So, I mean, wounding against T4 on 2s, that's very good.
Yeah.
Does
the big Choppa have a -1 to hit?
Nope.
Ooh.
No, it does not.
Okay.
We'll talk about the big Choppa later because I'm a huge fan of that. That item. Okay, so do you want to do Nash or Squig?
Yeah. So this is 2 CP. Use this tactic at the start of the fight phase. Pick an enemy model that is within 1 inch of any of your models and roll a d6. On a 4 up, that enemy model suffers 1 mortal wound. This tactic is awesome. When it doesn't go off, it feels so bad, but it really is for the 2 CP point sink. But it's really good against those factions that are primarily just like single wound models.
Rewind, probably like a year and a half ago when you and I started playing Kill Team.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first time you pulled up with storm shields, with like Deathwatch storm shields.
Deathwatch storm shields
against my Orcs, and I was like, what do I do against this? And I'm looking through my tactics and I see that and I'm like,
oh, okay.
Bingo. Yeah, I mean, if you're playing against somebody who's running a lot of storm shields and you're just like desperate for something, I mean, I seriously though, this tactic has won me games.
Yeah,
it's a little ballsy.
It is, but like, I mean, sometimes you got to risk it, Yeah,
I played a game against I believe it was Utsicle once, who ran Custodes against me, and I had gotten one of his Custodes down to 1 wound, and I popped Nash or Squig, and that guy died. You just know it.
Yep.
Daca. You want to do this one because this is one of the best tactics in the game.
Sure. Use this tactic after a model from your kill team shoots in the shooting phase. You can immediately shoot an additional time with that model. It's only 1 CP.
Yeah, 1 CP, crazy. Just insane.
Yeah. What is it? The
Endless Cacophony for Heretic.
For
2
Heretic.
CP.
Yeah.
Tyrannid, I forget the name of it, but they have one where it's 1 CP if it's just like a guy with flesh hooks, but it's like 2 or 3 CP for anybody with a decent weapon.
Yeah.
There's other factions that have a shoot again tactic, and it's usually 2 CP. Actually, weirdly enough, Necrons also have a 1 CP shoot again tactic.
Oh yeah.
But the Necron shooting is not nearly as nice as the Orc shooting, strangely enough.
Yeah, that's a weird thing to say, like in a vacuum, but like go into the intricacies of this tactic.
I mean, so flash gets, for starters, we're going to talk about them later, but they built in get to roll a d6 after they shoot, and on a 6 they shoot again. So like you can pop this tactic after shooting with a flash get, shoot again, and then roll to see if you shoot again. And like, it's just, it can be like endless. And then like a Scorcha, it's like,
that is crazy.
Okay, Scorcha. Yeah. Just to put in perspective, a Scorcha it's got the same profile as a frag cannon, except it's 1d6 instead of 2d6. For 1 CP, you can basically make it a 2d6 frag cannon that can get 2 injury rolls.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Scorches are amazing. And Daca is amazing.
Yeah.
You don't even need to be running like shooty orcs to make use of this.
No.
Because, I mean, flash gets and Scorches make their way into normal non-shooty orc teams, as people will find out once they like explore the options that they have more.
Yeah. You want to do just a flesh wound?
Yeah. So this is 2 CP. We've seen this tactic a million times. I'll read it.
Yeah.
Use this tactic when a model from your kill team is taken out of action. Roll a d6. On a 4-app, that model suffers a flesh wound instead. Yeah, I mean, it's not very good. I don't think that this tactic is any different for orcs than it is for a lot of the other teams that have this exact tactic.
Yeah.
I mean, Eldar have it. There are some other Tyranids have it. I am blanking.
I mean, like Space Marines have Death Deny, but that's like one more CP, and they just get it automatically. They don't have to worry about it.
Demons have it for 3 CP.
Why?
Anyway, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. If I was running like an Evil Sun's like Horde, I'm probably never going to use this just because they have so many models.
Yeah, maybe if you're running
typically, but like something like this, like an elite, like just an elite Death Skulls. I almost said Space Marines because they're all in blue armor.
Hey, maybe here's an idea. You're playing freebooters and you've got the flash get with he's the heavy spec with the get find a squig. So this is like the core of like your engine. And he gets killed turn 1. This is that's a situation where you might use it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, well, if this guy dies, then I'm pretty much
that's it for me.
Yeah, I'm pretty much done.
So it's nice to have that. It's nice to have it. I think it's fairly costed.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like anybody, I don't think, to my knowledge, no faction has this for 1 CP.
No.
So, I mean, whatever.
No. Okay, so I have Grot Shield next on my Tactics of Interest.
Go for it.
Use this tactic at the start of the shooting phase. Pick a model from your kill team that is within 2 inches of a Gretchen model. Until the end of the phase, while that Gretchen model is on the battlefield, any attacks which target the chosen model are resolved against that Gretchen model instead.
Okay, this one, I always thought it sounded so cool.
It's 2 CP.
Yeah, it's 2 CP. I've like never, ever used it.
Yeah.
Just never. It's like, I mean, it
has like cool. Has like a situation where you would use it, just has it like never popped up, or
well, I don't really just run like Grots too often.
Yeah, just like you'll have the leader. It's like you have the Grot leader, right? Yeah. And then you've got a couple Gretchen paired with the
ammo runts, yeah.
The ammo runts, yeah.
Which the ammo runts can get this as well, even though they're not on the Grot data sheet. Yeah, I mean, you might be able to like make a build for it, but it's like
it's weird and it's reliant on 2 CP for it to work.
Yeah.
Like after you read this, I was like, okay, so this is kind of like Tau Drone Savior Protocol, but it costs 2 CP.
Yeah.
Nah, that's all right.
Yeah, like
it's interesting.
Maybe you could get like a flash get and just surround him with Gretchens and then pop at every phase.
Death Star.
Yeah. You can never hit him. But then you can hit him after the Grot. Well, yeah, after the Grot that you pick dies.
Yeah. You'll just get shot by another model. So that, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do the next one. 2 CP for Wog.
What was that?
Wog.
What?
It's Wog.
Whoa!
This is remember Evil Sons? We talked about that one earlier. This is Evil Sons for 2 CP, and you can use it with Evil Sons. So I'm going to read it.
Yeah.
Use this tactic when it is your turn to move in the movement phase and your leader is on the battlefield and not shaken. For the duration of that phase, add 1 inch to the move characteristic of all models in your kill team and add 1 to their advance and charge rolls. So it's 2 CP.
It's pretty crazy though.
Yeah.
Because it's kill team wide. It's not just a single model.
Yeah. I mean, if you are in a position where you say you think you can get away, depending on you're looking at a tournament packet and the boards and deployments and stuff, or maybe it's a 3 CP packet or something. And you look at the options and you think I can probably WOG turn 1 and it's not going to be a huge deal.
Completely shut down the shooting for.
Yeah. Or just when you think about it,
faction.
Hear me out here. And this is a lot of my theory as to why I sort of moved away from Evil Sons. The vast majority of the benefit you're going to get from Evil Sons is going to come in the first round when you're advancing. I mean, it's going to be there. It's going to be nice for the rest of the game. But that first round, the advances you get, maybe you'll get a charge off if your opponent makes a mistake.
Yeah.
That's where it comes into play. So if you can put yourself in a position where you can just use WOG turn 1 and run a different sub-faction, then you're getting more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Evil Sons, you heavily utilize at the first turn, way more than you do turns 2, 3, and 4. So
running a different faction, but using this, you're getting a bigger return on investment.
Yeah, you're getting
the course of the game.
You're basically getting Evil Sons when you need it the most. And then you don't get it for the rest of the game, but you have something else.
Right.
And for the record, you should never use WOG except turn 1, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think, maybe turn 2 if there was a very stagnant first turn.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, this is pretty crazy. Your Orc boys become movement 7, and they're adding 2 to their advance rolls, and they're adding 2 to their charge rolls. It's like a 10-inch charge is now an 8-inch charge, and you're re-rolling because you're an Orc. Holy crap.
Yeah, it adds up.
Yeah.
All right, Shane. So talk about Stick Bomb.
So Mech's special Stick Bomb. This is a true meme tactic here.
This is a meme tactic.
Two
so expensive.
2 command points.
This is awful.
Use this tactic when you choose a model from your kill team to attack with a Stick Bomb. So before we get into it, Stick Bombs are the frag grenades that Orcs get.
Right.
So think it's just a frag grenade, except on a model with 5-up ballistic skill. Although a Grot has 4-up ballistic skill, and they can use this.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, until the end of the phase, change the weapons type to grenade D3 instead of D6, so you get less shots, and add 1 to its strength, so it goes to strength 4, and damage characteristics. So basically, you spend 2 CP, and you turn your grenade into D3 shots.
Strength
4, 2 damage, 0 AP. So this is almost always horrible. I've actually used it once.
Yeah.
Unlike Grot Shield, I have used this tactic once before. It did. I missed with the shot.
Yeah, of course.
It was with a Grot. And this is the only time you should ever do this because the Grots at least have decent ballistic skill.
Mm-hmm.
Although maybe with freebooters, once you get up to ballistic skill 2, maybe you could chuck one of these.
This is a white whale we're talking about chasing with that combo.
This is the ultimate engine, the mech special.
That's like the special final move for freebooters.
Yeah. Holy crap.
Everything needs to go right.
Yeah.
Flawless victory.
You're screwed when he whips out the mech special
Stick Bomb.
So I'm going to lay out the scenario. So here's when you use it. You have a Grot within 6 inches of an enemy model. The enemy model is toughness 3. Maybe they have an invuln save, or they have a bad save. So you don't need to worry about a lack of AP. And you really need to kill it. Maybe You just need to.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't trust the Grot Blast to get it done. In that instance, you can basically pop this tactic, and it's D3 shots, so you're going to be hitting on like 4s probably at best.
Yeah.
Winning on 3s, and then it's 2 damage. So it's like, it's bad.
Yeah.
You're never going to use this, but
no.
I guess it's worth knowing when you would, maybe one day. All right. You want to do the next one? Cunning Infiltrators.
Cunning Infiltrators.
Yes.
Use this tactic at the end of the movement phase. Choose up to 3 Commando models from your kill team that were set up in reserve and set them up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 5 inches away from any enemy models. This is for 1 CP.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay if you're running Commandos. It's a good deep strike.
Yeah, I mean, deep strikes are solid. I mean, obviously, it'd be nice if you could deep strike, like, it'd be really nice if a Commando boss knob could take a Scorcher. Unfortunately, it can't.
Nice.
That would be beautiful here.
That would be.
Yeah, I mean, the more I play this game, the more I realize that deep strikes are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And even if this isn't like knock out of the park deep strike tactic, it's still going to be good.
Yeah.
So next up is Indiscriminate Daca. So this is another very good one.
Yeah.
I'm going to read it. It's 1 CP. Use this tactic after firing Overwatch with one of your models. You can immediately fire Overwatch again. So if you're running a Scorcher, again, amazing.
Yeah.
I was playing a game with somebody once where it was on Arena, and they charged one of my Scorcher knob out of line of sight. Yeah. So I popped the 1 CP point blank Overwatch so that I could wait until they turned around.
Okay.
I scorched them, and I only flesh wounded them, and they're thinking, "Whew, that was a close one."
But wait, there's more, and then you just flamed them again.
Yeah, I mean, the ability to do that is just amazing.
Yeah, I don't think any other faction has an ability like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's another like Overwatch again tactic. I'm sure there is, but this is really good.
Yeah.
And again, anytime I say this would be great for a Scorcher, it's also pretty good for a flash kit.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. Next up, Pyromaniac. You want to hit that one up?
Yeah, honestly, I don't, because I think it's worthless, but we'll do it because we're here. You use this tactic when you choose for a model to shoot with a Burna. The Burna makes D6 attacks instead of D3 this phase.
So you're paying to make your Burna a real flamer.
Yeah, basically. And that in and of itself is just like, this is a waste of resources.
Yeah, first of all, I don't think Burnas are runnable in 99% of orc lists.
Mm-hmm.
And the situation where you are bringing them, you're already spending, there are 12 points. You're spending so much on them in your list that you're saying, I'm okay with D3 shots.
Yeah.
You're not building around this tactic.
No.
I mean, I'd rather just shoot again than get D6 shots. Yeah. I'd rather spend 1 CP to shoot again.
Yeah.
Pretty bad. Next up, Itching for a Fight. Use this tactic. It's 2 CP. Use this tactic when you choose a model in your kill team to fight in the fight phase. You can make 1 additional attack with that model for each enemy model within 1 inch of it. So this is a pretty cool one. It's steep cost-wise, but I used it in a tournament once. Mm-hmm. I used it with a Mega Knob, actually.
Oh, no.
It was against Deathwatch. I had gotten a charge off against 2, like a frag cannon guy and like a leader.
Okay.
And the Mega Knob had 4 attacks, and I popped this to make it so that he had 6 attacks.
Oh, jeez.
Pretty nice, you know?
Yeah, I bet.
Or if you're like so you got like you're playing against like a horde, like a Poxwalker swarm or like a Gaunt swarm.
Yeah.
And you charge like a ton of them with like a big Choppa guy.
Yeah.
And you pop this. It's like
return on investment is huge.
Crazy value.
Huge.
You want to do Here We Go.
Yeah. Use this tactic after making a charge roll for one of your models. Reroll 1 of the dice. So this is pretty good situationally. I've played against you a lot when you're playing Orcs, and I've seen you do it. Use this tactic, like a decent hand. I almost want to say half of the games we've played, I think I've seen you do it whenever you failed a charge.
Yeah, I don't know. Like they have the basic built-in "here we go" ability.
Right.
This is here we go.
Real creative.
Yeah. Here we go is just you reroll charges. So basically for this, instead of rerolling the whole charge, you can spend a CP and reroll just one of the dice, which is a pretty interesting mechanic. So you get like a 6 and a 1, and you're trying to get on a guy who's like 9 inches away.
Yeah.
You can reroll that 1, keep the 6.
Yeah.
Significantly higher chance of getting to where you need to be. Yeah, it's just another little tool that you can use. Deadard. I like this one. It's 1 CP. It's again, this is one that a lot of factions have. Use this tactic when a model from your kill team suffers a mortal wound. Roll a d6 for that mortal wound, and each other mortal wound suffered by that model for the rest of the phase. On a 5-up, the mortal wound is ignored and has no effect. So this is a pretty good counter against like Psychic, like Psybolts.
It's a counter, yeah.
I really love the idea of running like a Snakebite team against Grey Knights and setting it up so that like they're probably going to Psybolt a single knob twice rather than splitting, because the knobs have 2 wounds.
Right.
And then popping Deadard. So you get for each Psychic or Psybolt rather that hits that knob, you're getting a 5-up Deadard and you're getting a 6-up Snakebite. So that's like, so if they want to kill that model, they need you to not roll a 6 on 4 rolls or a 5 on just one of those 2 Deadards.
Right.
Pretty good. That's actually how I originally came up with like running Snakebites. And then I later
building Orcs is a hard counter to Grey Knights.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to do it.
Yes.
And then as I was working with it, I was like, wait a minute, Snakebites is actually pretty good outside of this one niche scenario. And that's all. That's all of them. We've got the Commander one, we got like the Killzone one, but that's all we're going to talk about for tactics. So do we just want to get into the models?
Sure.
So we're going to start with the core, the staple, the all reliable. Yeah. The Orc boy.
The good boys. The good old boys.
The boys. So, I mean, anybody that's playing Orcs or getting into Orcs, the first thing they're probably going to end up buying is the Orc boy box.
Is and should be the Orc boy box.
I mean, you need Orc boys, and the great thing about that Orc boy box is that it comes with a couple knobs too. So
yeah.
Anyway, so I mean, let's go over this stat line. So there's the Orc boy and the Orc boy gunner. These guys have the same stat line. So I'm just going to read that over.
Yeah.
5-inch movement, 3-up weapon skill, 5-up ballistic skill, strength 4, toughness 4, 1 wound, 2 attacks, 6 leadership, 6-up armor save. You can only take 2 gunners. And then on this data sheet as well as the boss knob, who has a different data sheet, or not a different data sheet, but a different stat line. You can only take 1 boss knob, and I'll read his. It's the same thing, except he has 3 attacks, he has strength 5, and he's leadership 7 instead of 6.
Yeah.
And he's got 2 wounds.
Yes. Yeah. That's the important part.
Yeah. That and strength 5 are huge.
Yeah.
So basically they are Orc boys. You can either give them a Shuda or a Slugga and Choppa, which Slugga and Choppa, that's the pistol, basically pistol and like a Orc equivalent chainsword.
Yeah, it just gives them +1 attack.
Yeah, right. So the boys will get 3 attacks. But here's the real nice thing about Orcs. Here we go. Native ability. All Orcs get this. Spoiler alert. They reroll charge rolls.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, there are teams where you're gonna make your subfaction reroll charges
just to get that. Yeah.
Orcs just all of them do it.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Mm-hmm.
The boss knob. So the boss knob on this is a bit confusing. So when Kill Team came out before Elites, there was the boss knob on the Orc boy data sheet, the one that we're talking about now, and there was the Commando boss knob on the Commando data sheet. And then when Elites came out, there was like a new knob data sheet. And we're going to refer to those as the Elite knobs.
Yeah.
They have a slightly different stat line than the boss knob from the Orc boy data sheet. And there's not a limit on them, except for the elite boss knob. It's kind of confusing, but the Orc Boy boss knob here, very good value unit. He is, I'm going to look at the actual thing here. Just the basic Orc Boy boss knob is 10 points.
Yeah.
That's just with a Choppa and a Slugga.
Yeah.
But you can give him like a big Choppa and make him like, I believe 12 points. And you can give him, here's the really nice thing, a Scorcher. And for the knob, it brings him up to, I believe it's 17 points for basically a 2 wound strength 5 model with 3 attacks, rerolling charges, and he's got an amazing assault flamer with strength 5 AP 1.
Yeah.
For 17 points. So that's very good. And if you don't want to give him the Scorcher, a 12-point model or a 12-point boss knob with the big Choppa is amazing as well.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we mentioned Commandos, and they're probably the most similar to the Orc Boys. So do you want to?
Yeah, so the base Commando has 6-inch movement, 3 up weapon skill, 5 up ballistic skill, strength 4, toughness 4, 1 wound, 2 attacks, leadership 6 with a 6 up save, and then the Commando boss knob has all the same things except it is strength 5, 2 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 7.
And then they got the sneaky gets ability.
Yeah, so they have Here We Go, because all orcs get those except for the Gretchen. Sneaky gets, when an enemy player makes a hit roll for a shooting attack that targets this model, and this model is obscured, that hit roll suffers an additional -1 modifier.
So Commandos are 8 points, or 7 points.
Yeah.
If you want to give them the Choppa, which I think you have to for Commandos, it's not like a boy where you can give him a shooter and keep him at 6 points.
Yeah, they're armed with Slugga, Choppa, and stick bombs.
Yeah, so the Commandos, in essence, are all 8 points, except for the Knob, who's 12 points.
Correct.
Again, the Commando boss knob, despite being more expensive than the regular boss knob, is like an auto-include in a lot of orc lists just because he's like a budget knob.
Yeah.
So I love giving him like a power claw and making him like just having like a 17-point, slightly faster knob.
With what are these strength 10 attacks?
Yeah, with 3 strength 10 AP 3 attacks.
Yeah, so we kind of skipped over these guys. Want to talk about the Gretchen?
Yeah. Simultaneously one of the most and least important models for orcs. So the basic Gretchen model, movement 5 inches, weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 4.
Okay.
The stick bomb.
Okay.
Strength 2, toughness 2, 1 wound, 1 attack, leadership 4, 6 up armor save. So these guys don't get Here We Go. They don't benefit from clan cultures. They're like 3 points. And you can make them 2 specialists. And this is why Grots are important, because you can make a Grot a leader. And this was like the birth of like the hide your leader thing was the Grot leader.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are so small. Just the models are physically tiny.
Yeah.
You can hide that guy, and it costs nothing to take it. It's 3 points.
Yeah.
It's such a low investment.
It is the biggest return on investment you can get out of a leader model in this game.
Yeah, I think so too. It's there's a reason that this is a legit strategy.
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice to not have to worry too much about your leader dying, although be wary of deep strikes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because this guy is toughness 2. Ooh. Yeah, and he gets the I'm sorry. I just realized the stick bomb thing I was talking about, that's only for the ammo runts because the regular Grot doesn't get it. But the ammo runt does have the same like weapon skill, ballistic skill setup.
Okay.
But they have better strength and toughness.
Okay.
The regular Grot just gets a Grot Blaster, which is like a 12-inch. It's like a las pistol, I think. I'm actually forgetting.
Because it's like
it doesn't come up often.
12-inch pistol 1, strength 3, AP 0, 1 damage.
Yep.
It's literally a blast pistol.
Okay, so let's move on to the. I guess there's the Burnas and the Ludas.
Yeah.
Which one do you want to do first before we get to the elite?
You have a burning hatred for Burnas, so you wanna go through them first.
Yeah, Burnas suck. So first of all, it's movement 5, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 5, strength 4, toughness 4, 1 wound, 2 attacks, leadership 6, 6 up, armor save. So it's a boy profile. So it dies very easy. You're paying 12 points for it.
It's so expensive in this faction.
Yeah, it's armed with a Burna and stick bombs. And a Burna is, I'll read it to you. It's like one of the worst flamers you can get, especially on a 12-point mod. So think about this. Okay, I'll read the thing first. The weapon can be used as a ranged weapon and a melee weapon. When making shooting attacks, or firing Overwatch with this weapon, use the ranged profile, and making close combat attacks, use the melee profile. So the ranged profile, it's 8-inch. It's an auto hitting, like a flamer.
Yeah.
Assault D3 instead of D6. Now, if this was D6, I would consider this, but it's not. Strength 4, 0 AP, 1 damage. So it's a D3 flamer. And then there's the melee profile, which is strength user, AP -1, or AP -2, I'm sorry, and damage 1. The melee profile is a lot better than the ranged profile, which, like, weirdly enough, a Burna is like a better melee unit than a ranged, and you can make him a zealot, which you can't say about any other orc unit.
Yeah.
But really, it's 12 points for this. I mean, you could get a boss knob with a big Choppa for 12 points.
Right.
It's a bad ranged option. It's overpriced. A model that dies as easily as this should not be 12 points.
Yeah.
There's no excusing it, I think. All right. And then there's the Burna Spanner on the same data sheet, which is, the spanners are weird. You can take 3 of them. It's just like an Orc Boy data sheet. Same thing. I don't want to repeat it again.
Yeah.
But a spanner can be, spanners actually play important roles in freebooter teams because you can make them, they could be like a comm specialist.
Right.
They're actually 10 points, I believe, offhand. They're 10 points, and they're armed with like a big shooter. But you can replace that with a custom Mega Blasta or a rocket launcher. So these guys they're basically gunners. They're additional gunners that cost a little bit more. They have some value, perhaps, in a freebooters team. Big shooters are pretty nice. Rocket launches can be okay. But these are and the custom Mega Blast is hilarious. I'll read that in a second.
Yeah.
But these are the models, like especially the rocket launcher and the Blasta. These are the guys that, like, once you've gotten your engine going and you actually have the modifiers, then you shoot with these guys.
And it's just like you're deleting stuff.
Yeah, because it's just one shot on like really high strength, high AP.
Yeah, the rocket launch is Assault 1. Both of those weapons the rocket launcher is Assault 1, Strength 8, AP 2, flat 3 damage.
Yeah, very good. And then the custom Mega Blasta is hilarious. 24-inch Assault 1, Strength 8, AP 3, D3 damage, and on an unmodified hit roll of 1, the bearer suffers a mortal wound. So if you're not running like freebooters and you have the modifiers, most of the time when you're using this weapon, you have an equal chance of getting a hit as you do hitting yourself. It's funny.
Very thematic.
And then they can take the big shooter, which is a decent weapon in its own right. It's 36-inch Assault 3, Strength 5, AP 0, 1 damage. And we kind of glossed over the Orc Boy Gunners. You can give them rocket launches and big shooters as well, not custom Mega Blasters. And it's like a cheaper way to get a big shooter, basically, because that is going to come out to like 7 points, whereas the spanners are 10 points. Anyway, so let's move on to the Luda.
Yeah.
Shall we? It's that same profile.
Yeah, it just kind of has that same stat line. Except
it's a def gun.
Yeah, they're armed with def guns and stick bombs.
Yeah, Luda Spanner, it's the same.
It's literally the same thing as the burn-up spanners. Okay.
Yeah, but a Luda gets a def gun, which I'll read the profile. It's 48-inch range, which
so
is
anything on the board you're able to hit.
Heavy D3. Now this is unfortunate because heavy. I'll explain why in a second. Strength 7, AP 1, flat damage 2. So that's solid. I mean, on first glance, this looks pretty good against like T3 with like bad saves. Heavy is unfortunate because the best lists to take a def gun on would be like a freebooters, right? And you're already going to have a heavy flash kit because you want a flash kit to be a heavy. So again, this is like kind of like the spanners in the sense that like you want to shoot these guys later after you've gotten the modifiers already.
Right.
And it's not that reliable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're okay, but again, it's 12 points, just like a Burna. So but this is better than a Burna because there's like situations where it's actually like you're getting a return on investment. Whereas I feel like with a Burna, you're almost never getting a return,
right?
Like a good return out of it. So when Elites came out, Orcs got the knob data sheet, which is separate from, as I said before, the boy knob and the commando boss knob. So now you can take a new thing. It's just a knob or a boss knob. In the regular knob, there's not a max on the limit you can take. So this gets pretty interesting with certain builds. I'll just read this profile.
Yeah.
Movement 5. Weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 5, strength 5, toughness 4, 2 wounds, 3 attacks base, leadership 6, and here's what's nice, a 4-up save.
Yeah.
So this is, so far, we haven't seen anything with
a decent armor save.
Yeah, just t-shirt saves across the board. The leadership problem is still kind of there, but I'll read a nice little rule that they got in Elites on these knobs called Keep in Order. So every knob has this ability. Every model on this data sheet, including one, which we can talk about in a second. It's a little gamey.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in Order. When you make an unmodified roll of 6 for a nerve test taken for a model within 3 inches of a friendly model with this ability, that nerve test is passed. So this is kind of nice, especially if you're running an elite team.
Yeah.
Because say you're running a team with like 7 to 9 bodies, mostly consisting of these knobs.
Yeah.
It's hard enough for you to break as is just because fail nerve tests, just because there's not a lot of models on the board that can die and therefore subtract from your leadership. But with this ability, not only are you auto-passing on 1s, but you're auto-passing on 6s. So it instantly gives you an extra 16% chance to pass. In just little situations like a guy gets a flesh wound and like another model dies, like this ability basically makes these knobs like you need to lose 2 models before you can possibly fail a nerve test, because the situation where you only fail on a 6 is now you can't fail.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the boss knob on the same profile or on the same data sheet. He's the same, but he has leadership 7 instead of leadership 6, and that's pretty nice.
Right. Yeah.
And then there's the ammo runt on this profile. So this is like this is a nice model. It's the same cost as a Grot, so 3 points. It's the same profile as a Grot, except you can only take 2 of them. And these guys are strength 3, toughness 3 instead of strength 2, toughness 2. This is really nice. And the Grots have the ammo runt, or the ammo runts rather, have the ammo runt ability that says they can't be specialists, but each ammo runt can supply, assuming they're not shaken, can supply 1 friendly model within 2 inches with ammo once per shooting phase. When they do so, you can reroll 1 hit roll for a shooting attack made by that model.
Yeah, that's nice.
Really nice for the freebooters and flash kits and stuff. I mean, I think ammo runts are like must takes, just because of like 3 points for strength 3, toughness 3, and then this little ability is nice.
You're paying 3 points for like a tack reroll in the shooting phase. And if you're running like,
and it's a body.
Yeah, and if you're running some sort of shooty orc team, you need as many rerolls as you can get just because of their base ballistic skill averages from decent to not very good.
Yeah. And now, so this is a thing where this is very rules as written. Some people will contest this. It doesn't seem intended. But technically, ammo runts are on the same profile or data sheet as these knobs.
Right.
So technically, rules as written, they do get the keep in order ability.
Oh, yeah.
It's something that should probably be updated by Games Workshop.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
I would recommend like TOs make a ruling on this and say that they can't do it because there's going to be arguments about this.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense, but like rules as written, like keep in order. It just it doesn't say only knobs.
Yeah, and same for here we go. So technically, ammo runts can reroll charges, unlike grots.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously not intended. Anyway, talking about the knobs again, though, the elite knobs, what's so nice about them, they are a little bit more expensive than the regular knobs. So they're a base 15 points. But the war gear options really open up for the elite knobs. And these models start to become very adaptable. So a knob or boss knob can replace its Slugga and Choppa with up to 2 different weapons from the following list. Big Choppa, Choppa, Kill Saw, Power Claw, Power Stabba, or Slugga.
Right.
So I think this is a good time to like talk about these weapons.
Yeah.
So Big Choppa is amazing. I don't have the math on me, but some guy like a while back wrote like a whole chart comparing how the knob weapons perform against different types of units, like guard equivalents, marine equivalents.
Right.
And what you saw was the 2 best weapons, most consistently good weapons, were the Kill Saw, just because it hits like a truck.
Yeah.
And the Big Choppa. So the Big Choppa, and this one is only 2 points. So a 17-point knob takes a Big Choppa.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to read that Big Choppa profile, or do you want me to get it?
Yeah. Big Choppa. Melee, strength +2, AP 1, 2 damage.
So AP 1 is the only like quote unquote bad part of this.
Right.
But AP 1 is like a really nice sweet spot for a lot of things. Like usually, if you're getting like 2 wounds through, you don't need more than AP 1.
Yeah.
The knobs go to strength 7 when they get the Big Choppa, and AP -1 and flat 2 damage. 2 damage is amazing. I mean, really where this shines, like this is good against marine equivalents. Like it's still solid, especially because of how like cheap it is compared to a lot of the other like super weapons that orcs can take.
Yeah.
But against like, think about any T3, you're wounding them on 2s. AP 1 is usually enough to do it against most T3 models anyway. And then flat 2 damage. This just wipes out chaff.
Yeah.
So I would say if you bought like a knob box and you don't want to buy another knob box, or you don't feel like magnetizing, I would say give most of your guys Big Choppas, because it's going to be the most useful, the highest percentage of the time. Next up is the on the weapons list, the regular Choppa. So there's actually something to note about this.
Yeah.
When Annual came out, they bumped up the Choppa price to 1.
Right.
Except for the elite knobs. They still get it for free.
Yeah.
So you can give your guy a Big Choppa and a Choppa. So he's getting 3 attacks with the Big Choppa, and then he gets a 4th attack at strength 5 still.
Yeah.
With the Choppa. That's really nice.
Yeah.
The alternative, because you take 2 weapons from that list, and the alternative really is mean, you can either double up on big weapons, which would be really dumb.
Yeah.
Or you can take a slug out of the pistol, which is useless on these guys because they get one shot, probably hitting on a 6. Strength 4 is your AP. So I'd rather have an extra attack in melee.
Yeah.
Kill saw. Do you want to read that tasty kill saw stat line? Because that weapon is just
bonkers, ridiculous.
So this is 5 points. So a knob with a kill saw goes up to 20 points.
Yeah. So obviously it's a melee weapon. Strength times 2, so bumping it to strength 10. AP minus 4, 2 damage, and then it has an ability when attacking with this weapon, you must subtract 1 from the hit roll. If a model is armed with 2 kill saws, you add 1 to its attack characteristic.
Yeah, so I think the 2 kill saws thing
that's
is
for
only
the
Mega Knob.
You're right.
So kill saw, here's something interesting. It's the same cost. It's 5 points. Same cost as a Power Claw, but it has 1 more AP, and it's a flat 2 damage instead of D3.
Yeah.
So this means you should never take a Power Claw on a regular elite knob.
Yeah.
The boys boss knob and the commando boss knob, they can't take a kill saw. So if you want to take a power weapon with them, go with the claw.
Right, of course.
But for these elite knobs, take the kill saw on your like combat spec or something, because this is a crazy strong model. That weapon is just crazy.
It's
like
bonkers, man.
Yeah, I mean AP 4, flat 2 damage. It's super powerful.
Yeah.
Next up on the weapons list is the Power Claw. We already talked about that. I mean, it's a power fist, but for orcs.
Yeah.
Not much to say here. Power Stabba is the next thing.
Yeah, so this is strength user. So in this case, it would be strength 5, AP 2, 1 damage.
So it's
1 point.
So this is the cheapest, other than the Choppa, obviously. This is the cheapest weapon a knob can take. It on paper, it sounds okay. Like strength 5, AP 2 for a 16-point model. The only thing is, it's just kind of like, I'd rather just pay an extra point for a big Choppa.
Yeah.
Get 1 less AP, 2 more strength, and 2 damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to be running Power Stabbas too often on a roster. The situations where it's good, there's like better stuff. Knobs can take a couple ranged weapons. A combi weapon with a Scorcha or a combi weapon with rocket launcher. So take the rocket launcher, throw it in the trash.
Right.
We're looking at the Scorcha today.
Scorcha, baby.
Combi Scorcher. So this is one of the best things you can take. I would say you should almost always have a Combi Scorcher in your list, no matter what type of orc team you're running. So we already talked about the boys knob. That's the cheapest Combi Scorcher you're going to get.
Right.
On the elite knobs, it's going to come up to 22 points for a Combi Scorcher. But still a very good model. It's just a Shuda. It's like a combi flamer, except it's a Shuda attached to a Scorcha instead of a bolt gun attached to a flamer.
Yeah.
I mean, just the ability to get D6 shots at strength 5, AP 1 on an assault flamer, and then shooting again for 1 point. And on top of that, you get the 2 Shuda shots each time.
Yeah.
Which are hitting on 6s anyway, so who cares? Right?
Yeah. You take this weapon for the Scorcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I will say it's not uncommon that you get hits and wounds with the Shuda. It'll happen once in a while.
Yeah.
Especially if you're running Death Skulls or something. That's basically what you're going to end up using the shooting phase hit reroll on.
Yeah.
There's not much else shooting going on.
Yeah.
And your flash kit can't use it. So speaking of flash kits, do we want to dive into that now?
Sure. Flash kits, 5-inch movement, 3 up weapon skill, 4 up ballistic skill, strength 5, toughness 4, 2 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 6 with a 4 up save.
So 4 up ballistic skill is like the first thing that sticks out to me.
Right. These guys have decent shooting, whereas all of the other orcs have lacking in the ballistic skill.
And they take a snaz gun.
Yeah.
So snaz guns are very, very good. I'll read that one.
Sure.
A snaz gun is 24-inch range, heavy 3, strength 6, AP -2, flat 2 damage. And flash kits have an ability called Gun Crazy Show Off, where every time they shoot in the shooting phase, you roll a d6, and on a 6, the model can immediately shoot again, but they have to target the closest enemy model.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's not a limit on this. So, like, hypothetically, you can like
it
shoot
can just keep
infinitely
going and going and going.
But this paired with like Daca, like you can shoot, see if Gun Crazy Show Off goes off, spend a CP, shoot again, roll again for Gun Crazy Show Off, maybe hit it, and then shoot again, and then roll again. It's crazy.
Yeah.
A flash kit, by the way, a flash kit is 23 points, and you can equip them with a Git Find a Squig.
Yeah.
Which is 4 points, so it takes the flash kit up to 27. And the Git Find a Squig basically bumps up the ballistic skill for one flash kit, whichever one you give it to, because only one can take it. It bumps up the ballistic skill by 1. So your heavy flash kit that you're going to run is going to be ballistic skill 3, basically.
Yeah.
And then there's the captain. Unless you desperately want to run a flash kit as your leader, don't run a captain, because it is the exact same thing, but for 1 point more. The only difference is it can be a leader.
Yeah.
There's no difference on the data sheet. It's
that's pretty stupid.
Yeah, just don't run a captain. But yeah, I mean, these guys obviously can only take the freebooter subfaction, and it gets pretty crazy if that starts to go off.
Yeah.
But they fit in nicely on an Evil Sons or Death Skulls team as well.
Yeah.
In matchups where you feel like you can get away with that shooting.
Yeah. They're a great field artillery piece.
Yeah. I mean, these strength 6, AP 2, damage 2. First of all, this chews through chaff, but it's strong enough as well to kill T4 just because the AP 2. Amazing weapon. Yeah. Really good model. It's you're really not ever going to run more than 2. I mean, on a freebooters list, you're probably going to run 2.
Yeah.
On a non-freebooters list, when you're just bringing the flash kit guy, you're only going to bring 1. Mm-hmm. He's just going to be like a supplementary piece to whatever else you're running. Yeah, though. Very good. And then, there's one more. The Meganob.
The Meganob. What was the name of the Meganob that you ran? Do you remember its name?
In the tournament. Nazgaz Goldkrumpa.
Ah, yes.
He got that name after killing a custody in the field of battle.
Yeah, as you do.
As you do.
Was this the same model that used the against?
No. This was
a different. Else. Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'm going to read the Meganob data sheet, and then I'm going to talk about the Meganob. 4-inch movement, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 5, strength 5, toughness 4, 3 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 6, 2 up armor save.
2 up armor save.
So that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
They do get the keep in order ability.
Mm-hmm.
They get Here We Go, obviously.
Yep.
They can take a couple kill saws to get an extra attack. They can take a Combi Scorcher if you want.
If you feel like that, yeah, I guess.
They could take a Power Claw and a Custom Shooter, which is just like a Combi Shooter, I guess. It's just but yeah, here's the thing. A Meganob, and there's the Boss Meganob, which is the same thing, but
he's got like higher 7 leadership. Yeah.
It is it's 37 points base without the stuff that you give him.
Yeah.
And I think the best thing to give him, honestly, is the twin kill saws. Yeah. So really this is a quick maths here, a 44-point model. Oh my god.
That's expensive.
It doesn't have an invuln save. It does have a 2-up save.
Mm-hmm.
So like that kind of makes up for not having an invuln a little bit, not really. Although you're not running into that much toughness or AP4 anyway. It's one of the few, like I love the super big expensive models.
Yeah.
I think it is one of the few models that you can legitimately say is a little bit too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So I mean, the cost is very steep. I mean, 44 points was it that I said?
Yeah.
That is a lot for a model that is toughness 4 without an invuln save. I mean, 3 wounds, yes. 2 up save, yes. But you would think it would bump to T5 or maybe get the option for like a 4 up invuln or something,
Right.
kind of like the Wraithblade does. I mean, that model's toughness 6 and like still gets crazy weapons and stuff. There is so I've run a Mega Knob in a tournament. It was kind of like a fun pick. It wasn't like I was going super hard, but I did try to make it work. And what I came up with was, weirdly enough, I know I was talking about how like Death Skulls and Snake Bites are really good for like the durable, like elite models. But I actually ran the Mega Knob with an Evil Sunz team.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is the 4-inch movement. That's brutal. So to bump them up to 5-inch movement with the +1s on everything, that can be pretty nice. So I ran him as a veteran spec with the 2 kill saws. So I would vet move. He was a vet advance charge guy.
Yeah.
And I would play him against like gun lines. So he would, like, I played him against Deathwatch, and the Deathwatch guy had like a frag cannon and an Infernus heavy bolter, and he had this gun line set up. And then I vet moved with the 5-inch +6/+1 advance and then charged.
Yeah.
To lock up the gun line, because even if he does get lucky with a hit and Overwatch outside of 8 inches, the guy has 3 wounds.
Yeah.
And once he's in, like, he's against a shooting model who's not going to have a chance to kill him. Really. No. And just basically in the Evil Sunz list, it was a Mega Knob and a bunch of boys with shooters.
Yeah.
So you still clocked out at like 11, 12, maybe 13 bodies. But you get this big giant guy. So, I mean, I actually went 2-0 with the team that had the Mega Knob in it, because that was a split roster with half Snake Bites, half Evil Sunz.
Okay.
And the Evil Sunz side that had the Mega Knob went 2-0. So it was against Deathwatch and Custodes. Yeah, it's just so expensive. I think if you are going to use them, you should do it Evil Sunz, because that 4-inch movement is horrible.
It is.
Just atrocious.
And it seems like with this model, the best way of protecting it is ensuring that it charges into the enemy models.
Yeah, I mean,
in order to do that, you gotta
vet move. You gotta have lots of movement.
You gotta put like 2 more legs on this guy to make him like go faster.
Yeah, give him Evil Sunz.
Go faster. Yeah.
Give him Evil Sunz. Vet move him. Charge him. And then if he's in combat, you can't shoot him.
Or if you're in Europe, don't. Anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
That's it. That's it for
all the models.
That's all the models.
So, I mean, normally this is the part where we talk about like their matchups and stuff.
Yeah.
But Orcs have so many play styles that it's hard to say like this is a bad matchup. This is a good matchup, because something that Evil Sunz might be good against, like freebooters might be bad against, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So I guess, how do we want to do this? There's the different formats where they're better. We already kind of said that.
I think breaking it down by formats and then talking about which kind of like builds work best on those formats is the way to go with this strengths and weaknesses conversation for the faction.
Okay. So what about arena? There's like core arena, and there's BAO style, like kill one, hold one. So I would say on like core arena, where it's hold 1, hold 2, hold more, you might still be able to get away with, the Evil Sunz, because the primary objective is just getting to and holding points. Yeah, which Orcs are good at.
Yeah, because
a lot of
you got so many of them. Alternatively, if you're playing like a BAO style pack where it's on arena and
doors are open,
doors are open, and killing models is a big part of the primary scoring, also the secondary scoring. I think that Death Skull knobs are the way to go.
I agree. I came really close to running Death Skulls at BAO, like really close before I decided on Templars instead. It was very similar. I mean, it played similarly to that Templars team. You, first of all, because with Death Skulls, you're running smaller lists, which means the roster has more room for flexibility. It's not just like 17 of my 20 roster slots are just basic Orc boys with Choppas. No, like I'm running like 7 to 9 man lists with these elite knobs that can be kitted out with either a big Choppa if I'm against T3, or maybe I'll have a couple more kill saws against like marine equivalents. And I'll always have room to take maybe one Evil, or always take one, but maybe 2 Scorches.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you need a couple extra bodies, the 2 ammo runts are just always amazing.
Yeah.
They're just so cheap, and they're still toughness 3 for 3 points. And they can, give you they can give the few shooting that you have a reroll. And then of course, if you take the flash get on the Death Skulls team, in the event that you're on like a long board edge, I would say with a model like that on an arena board, check the deployment zones before you decide to run that model. If your 5-inch movement on the flash get can't get you into like an actual shooting lane on the first turn, don't even bother. In my opinion,
it's not worth it.
I think Death Skulls are really good. They're super durable. They're super killy.
Yeah.
They reroll charges just natively.
Yeah. They
have all these salamander rerolls basically, and you've got the invuln on top of it, and they're really good.
Yeah. So switching formats over to like an open format. So say something like TAO, Transatlantic Open, or with the Ibericon packet where it's at 100 points, the board is wide open.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of shooting, not a lot of cover, or there is a lot of cover, but it's not. There's not a lot of cover.
Yeah, there's not
a lot of cover. And it's the primary objective is to hold points. And then there's like kill one.
Yeah.
I would say Evil Sons or the freebooters.
Well, yeah, here's the thing about freebooters that we neglected to mention earlier. I think freebooters are quite a bit harder to run at 100 points compared to 125.
Oh, yes, that's true.
It's hard to get 2 flash gets and still have enough room for the other stuff.
Right.
At 100 points, I think you need 125 to really properly pull off a freebooter team. So at 100 points, we saw the Freak Wars winner was Orks, and it was like a boy spam.
Yeah.
He had 1 knob on the list most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he'd usually have a Scorcha. And then it would just be a ton of boys. And then like 1 or 2 guys with big shootas, like the gunners. And yeah, he would just flood the board, run Evil Sons, like fast movement. It's a legit strategy. It's pretty good. You just need to be careful about, breaking.
Yeah.
Leadership 6.
You can't be throwing, like, you got a lot of boys, but you can't be throwing them, You can't be throwing them.
Don't be throwing them away. You gotta have purpose.
Every boy is precious.
Every boy is precious.
I got love for my boys.
Yes. But yeah, playing against Orcs, I get half of them, half plus 1 out.
Yeah.
Or flesh wounded.
Yeah.
Because leadership 7 max.
Their leadership is bad.
Yeah. Or if you kill they're not going to have that many leadership 7 models.
No.
First of all, like that list that won Freak Wars, it had all leadership 6 and then the 1 boy knob with the Scorcha. So you kill that 1 guy and then they break on a 6 if you force a break toss.
Right.
So yeah, be wary of that. But anyway, no, I think Evil Sons on an open board like that, you need to close those gaps.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get shot off the board. And if you're in melee, they can't shoot you.
That's right.
Yeah, though. And then there's like kind of like an in-between where you're on like an open board with maybe a little like a normal amount of cover. Because I would say TAO is like less cover than normal.
Yeah.
And I can actually kind of draw a comparison here. And this might sound like a weird one, but I think you can play Orcs a little bit like Heretic Astartes right now. So here's the comparison. Let's take a look at like the successful Heretic Astartes list, like Micromancers, like Renegade chapters.
Mm-hmm.
He'll have like 4 Berserkers and he'll have a bunch of cultists. So the comp here is knobs to Berserkers.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're not going to get to fight twice, but I think knobs are, generally speaking, hitting harder than a Berserker. Like the Berserker champion is the exception.
Yeah.
But I mean, an individual knob is going to hit harder than an individual Berserker. And unlike a Berserker, knobs are 2 wounds instead of 1. So they're a little bit more durable. But the real difference comes in looking at comparing cultists to orc boys. There's like a 2-point difference. Assuming the boys have shooters instead of choppas, then there's a 3-point difference.
Yeah.
But an orc boy is able to get a lot more done and threaten a lot more than a basic cultist can.
Yeah.
So I think you can play them a little bit like that with an Evil Sunz play style, which I think is like what people have gravitated towards with the kill hold meta. People haven't really explored Death Skulls and stuff. Instead, they've gone to like maybe 4 to 5 knobs and then enough boys to fill out to like maybe like 12 to 13 bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's kind of like what Emmanuel ran when he won SoCal. Granted, that was a different format.
Yeah.
And it was a long time ago, but at this point,
it's the standard.
Yeah. Because that was 125 points. That was the first tournament to do 125 points. And
Right.
That's what we saw. Yeah. I mean, and unlike Heretic Astartes, they don't have to spend their sub-faction on charge rerolls. And the chaff units get those rerolls too. It's not like with Heretics where the cultists don't get to do it. So they can get a sub-faction on top of that thing. And knobs hit hard. The only difference across the board is that, it's probably a little bit easier to break Orcs than Heretics. But Heretics still break kind of easy.
Yeah, right. And like... You're like a 51-49% difference or something like that. So I guess that kind of just like wraps it up for Orcs, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could talk a little bit about when to take freebooters. Obviously, it's 125. That's when you're looking at freebooters. If you want to run this like crazy snowball engine that is freebooters.
I mean, it's worth talking about just for the meme potential.
Yeah.
The sheer meme potential is.
And I mean, I think at one point it wasn't meme, but I think after watching like Kyle Fierstad at LVO,
right,
it kind of like went beyond that, and it's like a legitimate, it's a real thing.
It's
like
a real thing.
It is actually good if you're on an open enough board at 125.
Yes,
that's when it's strong. I think on Arena, it's a little bit too hard to pull that off.
Oh yeah,
and at 100, the points just aren't there.
Yeah,
but open board 125 freebooters are a thing, and they're damn scary if somebody knows what they're doing.
Yeah. So what is a typical freebooters list look like in those optimal conditions?
Yeah. So I'm not a freebooter player, but I can tell you what I've seen and what sounds the best to me. And that is you're going to have the heavy flash kit with the Get Find a Squig. He's going to be like the core of your engine. And then you're probably going to have another flash kit. He can be like a demo spec if you're against T4, but otherwise you don't really have to make him a demo. And then you would have a boys boss knob with a Scorcha, whose job is really to get that first kill in the shooting phase to like get the engine rolling.
Going, yeah.
And then you'd have like a comms spanner with, I mean, you can give him a big shooter or you can give him, one of the crazy weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, from what I've seen, some people might take a Luda or, some more Spanas, but you can run like the 2 big shooters on the Orc Boy Gunners and then just a ton of shooter boys.
Yeah.
And hope that by the time you get to those shooter boys, you're hitting on 2s or something crazy, because it can be pretty scary.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's freebooters. And then there's my knob stuff that I do.
Talk about your knobs.
So I mean, the way that I play Orcs generally is I run Orcs kind of as an elite team, which is sort of out of the ordinary, but I think it's legitimately very good. And I think more people need to be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I run Death Skull Orcs with kind of centered around the elite knobs with sort of like that build I was talking about earlier with BAO. And And it's just like, again, you have the roster flexibility. You have the, you can just kit them out in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
They're the durability, and they just hit so hard.
Yeah.
I mean, and the rerolling charges on top of it, because a lot of people like Evil Sons to make Orcs a mobile faction, but 5-inch movement isn't the worst. And once you get to the point where you're rerolling, you're no longer an immobile faction because you're rerolling those charges for free.
Right.
You're closing gaps like very well.
Yeah.
And at that point, once you're in, and the 5-inch movement doesn't matter anymore. Yeah. Especially if you're utilizing like pile in and consolidate well.
Yeah.
It can be pretty scary. Anything else? I mean, I don't want to talk about matchups because there's just too many factors. Yeah. Every single type of orc team has different matchups.
I guess, is there like a hard counter to orcs, or do you think that's not a thing? That's the only thing I can think of when it comes to talking matchups.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there is a hard counter to orcs. I think that just about anything, like with a flexible, I don't know, orcs have an answer to almost anything. They're going to do better against some things than others, but there isn't anything. It's not like there's a Harlequin versus Grey Knights situation where a certain thing sits across the table from your orcs, and you're just like, well,
oh god,
guess I'm screwed.
The game's over.
Yeah. Orcs can always do something.
Right.
You just need to know how to play that matchup and how to roster build effectively.
Yeah.
They're really good against other hordes, weirdly enough. Like Tyranids. Orcs do really well against Tyranids. They do pretty well against Death. They do very well against Death Guard, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I think that the knobs are better than the Plague Marines, generally speaking, and the Orc boys are just way better than Poxwalkers, so they just kind of play that game better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Orcs are great. They're cool too because they're a faction that I think has a decently low floor for entry. Like, if you're new to Kill Team, you can pick up Orcs.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not overly complex, but I think like the skill ceiling is very high for them.
Yeah,
like it's hard to play them perfectly, but like they can be played to a very high level.
Yeah, we didn't cover Orcs in our
easiest and hardest.
Yes, the easiest, hardest Kill Team factions to play. We didn't cover that probably specifically for this reason.
They kind of fit both.
They definitely fit both. We had some people comment on that video asking, where do Orcs fit? And I just told them, exactly what you just said. They have a pretty low barrier to entry in terms of learning how to run them, but their skill ceiling is very high.
Yeah, it's you can take them very far.
Yeah,
I mean, we've seen people win tournaments with Orcs. We saw Emmanuel win SoCal. We saw, Lucas won Freak Wars with Orcs. Alex Torbert way back when at Nova took Orcs to top 4 back when people thought Orcs were low tier.
Yeah.
And that feels like forever ago at this point. But
yeah, really.
But yeah, Orcs are a very, very competitive faction, and they're super fun to play too. So
yeah,
I love Orcs. I will always be playing Orcs at some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to hopefully run my Death Skulls in like a real life tournament one day.
Maybe one day, Shane.
One day.
Maybe one day.
Damn you, Nurgle.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So that's going to wrap it up for our Orc Kill Team Faction Deep Dive. If you are watching this on YouTube, you can subscribe to the podcast on most podcasting apps, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify, where you'll be able to listen to them before we upload to YouTube. If you enjoy this sort of content, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and leave a rating. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll talk to you all again in the next one.